The legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has taken a dramatic turn, with Judge Lyman's recent decision to deny Blake's legal team yet another extension, marking a significant setback for the actress. This development comes after a series of contentious maneuvers by both sides, each attempting to gain the upper hand in a high-stakes lawsuit that has captivated Hollywood and the public alike. The case, which revolves around allegations of reputational damage and professional misconduct, has escalated into a full-blown legal and public relations war, with both parties pulling out all the stops to defend their positions. However, Blake's team has found themselves increasingly on the defensive, as their strategies have repeatedly backfired, leaving them scrambling to regain control of a narrative that seems to be slipping further from their grasp. The saga began when Judge Lyman granted Blake Lively's legal team an initial extension, pushing their deadline to February 14th, Valentine's Day. At the time, this seemed like a generous concession, allowing her team additional time to prepare their case and gather evidence. However, as the new deadline approached, Blake's lawyers returned to the court, this time requesting yet another extension, this time until March 5th. Their justification for this request was the introduction of additional witnesses, including Jenny Slate, who had co-starred with Justin Baldoni in It Ends With Us. Jenny, a known supporter of Blake, had previously issued a public statement defending her friend and dismissing the allegations against her as baseless attacks. Her statement, which praised Blake as a leader, loyal friend, and trusted source of emotional support, had initially seemed like a powerful endorsement that could bolster Blake's case. However, when it came time to testify, Jenny Slate shocked everyone, especially Blake, by distancing herself from the case entirely. Despite her earlier public support, Jenny allegedly refused to provide direct testimony or involve herself further in the legal proceedings. This unexpected turn of events left Blake's legal team in a difficult position. They had been counting on Jenny's testimony to strengthen their argument, particularly by highlighting alleged uncomfortable encounters between Jenny and Baldoni that could paint him in a negative light. When this strategy fell through, Blake's team was forced to pivot, scrambling to find a new approach to salvage their case. Their next move was to request yet another extension, this time citing the need to add new parties to the lawsuit. One of these parties was Jed Wallace, a businessman whose company, Street Relations, had filed a separate 10-page lawsuit in a Texas federal court. Blake's team argued that Wallace's case overlapped with theirs and that addressing it would require additional time. On the surface, this seemed like a reasonable request, but Justin Baldoni's legal team was quick to challenge it. Brian Friedman, Baldoni's lawyer, came prepared with documentation that exposed the hypocrisy of Blake's team. He revealed that when Baldoni's team had requested an extension in January, during the devastating Los Angeles wildfires, Blake's team had refused to grant them any leeway. Friedman's argument was clear. If Blake's team was now asking for an extension, Baldoni's team should be granted one as well, pushing their response deadline to April 15th. The Wayfarer legal team, representing Baldoni and his production company, took a measured approach to the situation. While they expressed no objection to Blake's team receiving an extension, they made it clear that any additional time granted to one side would also apply to the other. Their stance was simple: fair is fair. If Blake's team was allowed more time to prepare their case, Baldoni's team would also need an extension to ensure a level playing field. This move effectively neutralized any advantage Blake's team might have gained from the extension, leaving them back at square one. But Brian Friedman wasn't finished yet. In a dramatic courtroom moment, he exposed a major misrepresentation by Blake's team. They had been attempting to blame Jed Wallace for the delay, claiming that his legal action was the reason they needed more time. However, Friedman revealed that it was actually Blake who had initiated the legal action against Wallace in Texas on January 21st, a full 2 weeks before Wallace filed his federal lawsuit. This revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom, as it became clear that Blake's team had been less than forthcoming about the true sequence of events. Judge Lyman, unimpressed by the lack of transparency, denied Blake's request for a month-long extension, granting them only a single extra day to submit their amendment. The defeat was written all over the faces of Blake's legal team as they realized their strategy had failed. The setbacks didn't end there. Blake's team had also attempted to impose a gag order on Brian Friedman, preventing him from speaking to the media about the case. This move, intended to control the narrative and limit public exposure, backfired spectacularly when the court swiftly denied the request. The ruling meant that Friedman was free to continue speaking publicly, effectively handing him a microphone to amplify his side of the story. For Blake's team, this was a devastating blow. Their attempts to silence Friedman had only emboldened him, and his public statements continued to expose inconvenient truths that undermined their case. As if the legal setbacks weren't enough, Baldoni's team launched a website dedicated entirely to the case, turning the lawsuit into an even bigger public spectacle. The site, unveiled over the weekend, featured an amended legal complaint, a meticulously compiled 168-page timeline of events, and, most damning of all, never-before-seen text messages allegedly exchanged between Blake and Baldoni. The website was a full-blown digital repository of evidence, receipts, and footage, all laid out for the public to examine. It was a bold move that effectively dismantled any attempt by Blake's team to keep the details of the case behind closed doors. Now, the lawsuit was being litigated not just in the courtroom, but in the court of public opinion, and Blake's team found themselves in an even deeper mess. The website's launch was a strategic masterstroke by Baldoni's team, as it invited the public to scrutinize the facts for themselves. Among the most revealing pieces of evidence were text messages from Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, to Baldoni. In one message, Reynolds expressed his excitement about It Ends With Us, writing, "This is going to be incredible. I happen to adore you, Justin." At the time, the message seemed friendly and supportive, but in the context of the current lawsuit, it took on a completely different weight. These messages, along with other evidence presented on the website, painted a picture that was increasingly unfavorable to Blake's case. Blake's legal team, already reeling from multiple setbacks, made a desperate attempt to have the website taken down. They argued that Baldoni's team should not be allowed to publicly release evidence in this manner. However, the court once again ruled against them, pointing out that Blake's team had already taken their battle to the public through major media outlets like the New York Times. If they were willing to engage in the court of public opinion when it suited them, they could now demand that Baldoni's team remain silent. The ruling was a clear message: what's good for the goose is good for the gander. At this point, Blake's legal team must be wondering just how much worse things can get. Every move they've made has backfired, and every attempt to gain control of the situation has slipped through their fingers. With each failed strategy, the reality of losing this lawsuit becomes more apparent. And the stakes couldn't be higher. $400 million is on the line, a sum that would be devastating even for Hollywood heavyweights like Blake and Ryan Reynolds. Such a financial hit would force a complete reassessment of their future projects, endorsements, and investments, potentially altering the trajectory of their careers. As the case continues to unfold, it's clear that Blake's team is fighting an uphill battle. The walls are closing in, and the more they try to fight back, the more the odds seem to stack against them. With the lawsuit now being litigated in both the courtroom and the court of public opinion, the pressure is mounting, and the question isn't just whether Blake will lose, it's how much more her team can handle before they completely crack under the pressure. The legal showdown has become a cautionary tale of how quickly a high-profile case can spiral out of control, leaving even the most seasoned legal teams scrambling to keep up.